Welcome to HPHY, Healthy Practices, Healthier You. Today we're talking about cortisol, the stress hormone, and how your habits might unexpectedly increase it, even while you believe you're making healthy choices for yourself, even if you go out of your way to make those healthy choices for yourself. You might be surprised to learn about the connection between dreading your health routines or any activity at all and elevated cortisol levels. Dread means anticipating something, an event, or being around a person with great apprehension or fear. And studies consistently associate it with elevating your cortisol. Yes, disliking or dreading your health routines will trigger excessive release of cortisol, which can actually work against your health goals. It's absolutely counterproductive. So let's dive into how this happens and the focus of this channel, which is what you can do about it right now. Sometimes, many times, there's a gap. There's a gap between what we think is beneficial, like pushing ourselves to do certain health activities, and the reality that those same activities could be causing more harm than good, not just because we overdo them or inappropriately do them, but because we may dread them. We'll briefly review how dread impacts cortisol levels and explore several natural ways to reduce it. You might be thinking, well, some things just have to get done, even if we hate them, even if we dread them. But do they? Let's explore our options. Let's talk about the cortisol effect. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone because it's released during times of stress for a very good reason. It helps our bodies respond to threats. So it isn't all bad. In fact, it's essential for our lives and our health. It plays such a crucial role in various bodily functions, such as regulating metabolism, our blood sugar, blood pressure, reducing inflammation, supporting memory formation, and supporting our immune response, which we have multiple videos on inflammation and immunity and all of these topics. But it helps us wake up in the morning, handle stress, and maintain our energy levels throughout the day. The issue arises when cortisol levels remain chronically high. This prolonged elevation can lead to serious health issues, but it is important to note that the severity and presence of these effects can vary greatly among individuals. Therefore, managing our stress and keeping cortisol levels in balance is absolutely essential for overall well-being. Now, the dangers. What are the dangers of high cortisol level? Why does this matter? Why does this matter, and why should it matter to you? It should matter because it impairs your cognitive function. If you have chronic high cortisol level, it can harm your memory and learning and increases the risk of dementia. But these effects, obviously, like everything else we're going to mention, vary from person to person because we're all different. Our individual makeups and our health statuses are different. High cortisol can also suppress our immune system. So elevated cortisol can weaken your immune system, making you more prone to infection. But of course, not everyone will experience this effect to the same degree. It can make you gain weight. High cortisol is linked to increased appetite and abdominal fat, which raises the risk of heart disease. Again, this impact can differ depending on individual and their metabolic responses. And we had this metabolism video that we'll link at the end. Increased blood pressure is also one consequence of chronically high cortisol levels. This level of chronic stress can lead to just sustained high blood pressure, increasing the risk of heart disease and stroke. But again, individual susceptibility will vary. High cortisol levels can affect your mood. It can give you mood disorders, which elevated cortisol is associated with depression, yes, and anxiety, yes. But this connection is complex and influenced by quite a variety of factors. High cortisol levels can disrupt your sleep, and it can lead to insomnia or poor quality sleep. But not everyone with high cortisol will have these sleep issues. It can decrease your bone density and increases your risk of osteoporosis or osteopenia, though the individual outcomes will and can differ. High cortisol levels can weaken your muscles and induce poor skin health. It can promote the breakdown of muscle proteins, leading to muscle weakness. Chronic stress can also result in skin issues like acne, like eczema, like delayed wound healing, but the extent varies among individuals. High cortisol levels can increase your risk of type 2 diabetes. Yes, it can elevate your blood sugar and insulin resistance, leading to type 2 diabetes, but genetic and lifestyle factors also play a significant role. For some, high cortisol level will disrupt your reproductive hormones, leading to irregular menstrual cycles and reduced fertility, but this effect is not uniform across all individuals. High cortisol levels will actually induce poor emotional health. It can lead to this decreased ability to experience joy. And then the lack of laughter or positivity in life further exacerbates and increases cortisol production, which then further decreases your ability to experience joy. So this is this vicious, unhappy cycle because of high cortisol levels. But obviously not everyone will be affected equally. So why do these activities that you hate or dread raise cortisol levels and maintain the high cortisol levels in your system? Well, when you dread a health routine or any other activity, your brain treats it like a threat and it triggers a stress response. This activates the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal, HPA axis, which is this complex system in our brain, and it involves our brain and our adrenal glands and our pituitary and the hypothalamus. So this stress activation leads to the release of cortisol, the stress hormones from the adrenal glands, which sit atop of the kidneys. While this response is helpful, useful, and necessary, it's absolutely necessary in short-term fight or flight situations. Chronic activation and constantly experiencing stress from activities like health routines you hate or being around people you fear can lead to sustained high cortisol levels, contributing to the health problems we mentioned earlier. So let's talk about how enjoyable activities can actually help lower cortisol. Like, what can you do? These are the things that you can do. Well, no, actually, let's first talk about the mechanism through which these enjoyable activities help lower cortisol, and then we'll get to the activities themselves. So because we through some of this this process of just high release and the production of cortisol in our system, and sustained cortisol in our system that leads to high cortisol levels, enjoyable activities really help because they help reduce this production. They reduce stress, they lower the activation of the HPA axis, which we just mentioned, and therefore they decrease cortisol production. So that's our mechanism. We try to decrease cortisol production. There's an increase in endorphins when we do things that we enjoy. And so the activities you love, you release endorphins. We know there's certain activities that are quite famous for releasing endorphins, and which are natural mood elevators. You just feel good, that counteract cortisol levels. We also engage in enjoyable activities also releases and boosts dopamine, which enhances pleasure and reduces stress. Enjoyable activities also increases serotonin, all these hormones in our system, which improves mood and helps regulate cortisol. Social bonding activities increases oxytocin, which they call the love hormone. It's how babies bond and people hug. When people hug each other, the feeling you get, it's all the gift from that hormone, which helps you reduce stress and cortisol levels. Enjoyable activities also activate the parasympathetic nervous system and promotes relaxation and lowers cortisol. So with all of this knowledge, actionable steps, how do we reduce high cortisol levels? Well, the key to managing cortisol is to minimize the excessive exposure to stressors, right? So for our purposes, we're going to focus on health routines, but these stresses can come from your work, from family, from environment, from a wide variety of life in. While it's important to make your health routines enjoyable, we understand and we acknowledge that some practices are essential for your well-being. You may just be neutral about them. You may not actually enjoy them no matter what, and they may not elicit feelings of joy. So if you absolutely abhor, though, a specific health routine, if you dread it, please consider alternatives that might deliver the same benefits, because there are. If you explore sufficiently or consult with a professional, you'll be able to find alternatives that can give you some of the same results, but not doing that exact particular thing that you dread, because you should never, ever, ever sustainably do something that you dread that much, where it makes you feel so much fear and so much apprehension before you get to it. Within the realm of health practices, because we have different options in health practices. In other parts of our lives, that may be different. Okay, so your health routines should ideally be a source of relief, not stress. But not all discomfort means something should be eliminated. We can still make effort, and that can be uncomfortable. In fact, a lot of our growth comes after discomfort. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that feeling in the pit of your stomach where you just really recoil. You almost feel nauseous at the thought of doing something or being around someone. That's the feeling that we're talking about. If you feel that way about a health routine, that is something that we should work very hard to replace and find alternatives that can, give us some of the same results. So it should be eliminated. So here's how you can reduce cortisol and improve your well-being. The first, I think we've talked about this in a few videos, mindset. Mindset is the wellspring of everything, really. Focus on what you can control and maintain a positive outlook. So, one of the things that you're going to try is to not watch the news late at night, or maybe first thing in the morning, to be able to control the things that you can control, the things that you can do, the places you can put your effort. Practice gratitude, kindness, and mindfulness to shift your focus away from these stressors. So your action item in practicing daily gratitude is to commit to 5 minutes every morning or evening to write down 3 things you're grateful for. Or it doesn't have to be morning or evening. It can be any time during the day that you have time, that you feel like, oh God, I need a pick me up. So, let me just get my little book and write on my phone and just write out the 3 or 5 things I'm grateful for. This very simple practice can help shift your focus away from stressors and reduce your cortisol levels. Something that simple, Without fail, the one thing that we always mention as a practice in reducing cortisol levels, that's all good, very, very good, is exercise. You need to exercise. You need to engage in some sort of moderate physical activity that you enjoy. Very important. So the exercise helps you reduce overall stress and it reduces your cortisol levels. So your action item is for you to engage in it about 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day to do something that you enjoy. Jumping jacks, dance, anything that you enjoy. It could be a brisk walk, yoga, any kind of new inventive movement. You can originate your own exercise. Something that's getting your heart, your blood pumping faster, and your heart, your heart pumping faster, your heart muscles. So you can choose an activity that you enjoy to make it sustainable, which is the key to lowering cortisol, because if you're not continuously doing it and you're not consistent and you're not adhering to it, it won't be as effective. So something like rebounding, like we have a video on the rebounding, I'll link that video as well. That's something you can just jump up and down, literally just jump up and down if you don't want to do anything, or you can on a rebounder, or you can just jump up and down on the ground, just wherever you are, just jump up and down, or do 1 push-up, like a little exercise snack. Another way that you can lower cortisol is to spend time in nature outdoors. Nature's calming effect can significantly lower stress levels. So your task and action item is to spend time outdoors daily. So even like a 10-minute walk in the park, or sitting or working in your garden, can have this calming effect. And if you can't go outside, bring nature indoors by adding plants to your living space. You should do this anyway, if you are not allergic or have other issues that would prevent you from doing that. And another way that you can lower cortisol. And another mind activity is to, reach out for social support. Surround yourself with kind, loving, supporting people that you like, who like you, and that they uplift you. You just feel good around them. You may not even be able to explain why or how or any of the mechanics behind it, but you just know that you feel good. You smile when you think of them. In fact, if you think of someone right now, where every time you think about them, or you think to call them, or you just remember them and a smile pops on your face, that's the person that you need to reach out to, because positive social interactions help keep our cortisol levels in check. We've all had that, where we go see a friend, we're very, very stressed, and we're around that friend for whatever period of time, and then we're leaving them feeling just much, much better than when we arrived. So your goal, your action item, is to reach out to that friend that you thought about, that made you, where you think about them and you just, a smile popped in your face, or your loved one today, and schedule an in-person meeting. And if that's not possible, a phone call or a video call. Video calls are better. You can see people's faces and their expressions, and that helps significantly. It's obviously will be better if you're around a person, you can give them a hug, but in the absence of that, a video call will be quite sufficient. Social interactions can lower stress and in turn reduce cortisol levels. Another way to lower cortisol, obviously, your diet. Limiting sugar and opting for nutritious foods like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins and whole grains, healthy fats, make a significant difference in lowering your cortisol levels. Your action item is to start your day with a balanced breakfast. And by breakfast, I mean whenever you choose to break your fast. So it doesn't have to be in the morning. It can be if you're intermittent fasting, if you're not eating, if you're intuitive eating, where you're waiting to eat when you're hungry. If you don't have a specified time, just the time you break your fast, make sure it's with some balanced breakfast that includes protein, healthy fats, and fiber. For example, some people can have a smoothie with spinach, chia seeds, and Greek yogurt. This can help stabilize your blood sugar levels and prevent cortisol spikes. So my favorite activity in the whole wide world, the way that I love to reduce cortisol levels and relieve stress and start end days, I can just be in the sauna all the time, is by, regular sauna use. This helps reduce and lowers cortisol and promotes relaxation and reduces just stress, and you just feel good while you're in the sauna. So your action item is that if it is accessible to you, you can spend 15 to 20 minutes in a sauna 2 to 3 times a week. And, you may only want to do 5 minutes, and that's fine. So whatever amount of time that you're able to do, and, you become more heat adapted the more you do it. I'll do a video on sauna. I'm actually working on one now that will go into a little bit more details on the how-tos and the benefits. But you can do like 2 to 3 times a week, 15 to 20 minutes in a sauna. You can do it with your friends, so you're not alone in there. And the heat can promote relaxation and lower your cortisol. If a sauna is not available, or you don't like it, or you don't want to, you can take a warm bath with Epsom salts to mimic the relaxing effects. Now, please note, if you have an underlying health condition, especially some sort of cardiovascular issue, please consult your healthcare provider before using a sauna regularly, or at all, before using a sauna at all. Before using it the first time, consult your healthcare provider. Just make sure it's okay for you and your particular health condition. So another health practice that you knew had to be here is sleep. Obviously, sleep will have to factor in lowering cortisol levels. You want to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night to help regulate cortisol levels. And in multiple videos, we've talked about sleep hygiene and how you need to set up your sleeping environment and why it's important and the mechanism and how it helps you. So your action item is to try to establish a bedtime routine. Turn off screens an hour before bed. Dim the lights. No new calls, no new good or bad news, nothing that can excite you. Read a book or meditate, so you're just calming down and bringing it more centered, more focused, more reflective time. And aim to go to bed at the same time each night to kind of improve your sleep quality and regulate your cortisol levels. Another way, and I think our final way, is to laugh. Laughter is one way that we can reduce cortisol levels. Incorporating humor and laughter into your life. Not taking yourself seriously, not taking everybody else seriously either. But laughter triggers the release of endorphins, and we mentioned before what endorphins does, and reduces the production of cortisol, and it helps to relieve stress. We all know. So finding a YouTuber or a TV show or reading a book, something that you like. So observing people, life is very funny if you pause and just watch people. That can just trigger laughter, which will help reduce your cortisol levels. So an action item would just be finding a funny video or just being with a funny friend. Some people, just being around them just makes you laugh. Reading a funny book, watching a comedian do his special or her special. That would just make a difference. Laughter releases endorphins, lowers cortisol levels, and it just brings, an amount of joy where sometimes people see you laughing and then it makes them smile and laugh too. So it's also kind of spread. So try to make it a point to incorporate humor into your daily life, because it doesn't just help you by putting you in a great mood and making you better for the people around you and the world around you, but it also, people seeing you laugh kind of makes them happy too. By incorporating these kind of 8 practices into your routine, you can effectively manage your cortisol levels and improve your overall health. You can start with 1 or 2 of these action items today. You can separate them or you can bundle them up and gradually build them into your daily life for lasting benefits. So your health routines should be a place of joy, not stress. Bundling some of these practices, like let's say you're laughing with friends after a sauna and exercise in nature, could really drastically lower your cortisol levels, because you've just put several of these practices together. This science-backed, science-proven practices together that make a difference for your health. So if you dread it, don't do it. See if you can tweak it to make it better. If not, consider alternatives that might achieve the same results. And please prioritize the health routines and health activities that bring you joy, and find ways to make these essential routines more enjoyable. And watch how it reduces your cortisol levels and transforms your relationship with health, your well-being, and just gives you more vibrance and energy in life. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you found this useful, and watch HPHY rebounding, or the inflammation video, the metabolism video, which will help reduce your cortisol. Have a great day. Bye.